There's a lot of talk about menopause these days, Golda. Like, right, and what are
You're
people talking?
telling
People talking
me?
about, their musculoskeletal, they're talking about their, soreness, they're talking about dryness, they're talking about which HRT you should be on. And I'm sitting there like, isn't this so interesting? We have an epidemic of Black women dying of endometrial cancer during the menopause and after the menopause transition. And that's not a story in the menopause
Yeah.
gold rush right now. And that is an
Yeah.
example of what I mean, right? Is that,
Yeah.
and I'm a voice standing up for the dignity of Black women that says, like,
Yeah.
we also deserve to have really healthy reproductive lives. And it's not, it's so much more than maternal mortality. It's about our everyday womb health and how much it's under assault.
Yeah. Well, thank God you're doing that, Dr. Dahl. I mean, the whole menopause gold rush story irritates me profoundly
Mm.
on many different levels.
Yeah.
I'm in surgical menopause,
Mm.
and I had my ovaries removed prophylactically to prevent
Mm-hmm.
myself from getting ovarian cancer like my mom.
Mm-hmm.
But I that's not a it's not like a it's not a headline, right? You can't put all of that. Like, it's so complex
Agreed.
and it's so uncomfortable. Like, we have
Yes.
to say very uncomfortable things to the wider world, and the wider world doesn't want that. They just want to sell us some shit.
Yes. I mean,
You know what I mean? Like, I
I
think that's
do.
the
Believe me,
value.
I do. I think there's something about how this country approaches every problem. The first way we approach any problem is from a capitalistic
Yeah,
and materialistic and entertaining lens.
yeah,
And it's just
yeah,
so consistent. And so I think it's like this is where it is. It's like yes, we should acknowledge that menopause exists, and I'm glad that there was more research funding, and I'm glad that we're paying attention and like we're believing women in terms of the symptoms they're having and all of that. That's so important. But of course, in the United States, right, what does that look like? It looks like a proliferation of treatments you don't need, and social media influencers, and and like you said, and headlines that really flatten what is an incredibly varied and, like you said, uncomfortable experience that I think almost always actually reflects on a woman's entire life
yeah,
in a way
yeah,
that takes space and
yeah,
time. And that's just not conducive to the entertaining capitalistic nature of the conversation.
yeah. And I know I'm going off on a side topic now, but
It's okay.
it really does. It profoundly irritates me because um even if, and I'm willing to say, okay, I'm a realist. We live in a capitalist economy.
Sure.
Let's see how we can lean in. If people have to make money, they should be making money off getting people healthier and not
Sure.
keeping people sick,
I
right?
got no problem with
But
that either.
even within that, right? If
Mm-hmm.
you think about, all right, let's take some estrogen. Let's take some estrogen. It's going to make things better. Can most women afford estrogen, right? Because the price of menopause therapies has been up and to the right over the
Yep.
last 10 years,
Yep.
and it's not getting any cheaper. And as you have a generation coming of age
Yes.
and heading into menopause, the scale is only going to deepen and widen, right?
Which is why it's more expensive.
Right.
Because there's a
Right.
recognition that, oh,
Exactly.
this is now a profitable arena. Yes. And
Yeah.
so we leave
Yeah.
behind those who are most in need. We don't even acknowledge, like you said, people who are in
Yeah.
surgical menopause much earlier, who are going to be subject to these prices much longer. I mean, and also there are people who can't be on hormone therapy who still need to be seen and
Yeah.
acknowledged. And I don't know. I think I know we are getting off topic a little bit. Um, and I think that, like I said, I just think the way that it's good we're talking more about older women's health in general. Older, I know, is a little bit
Hmm.
of a
Hmm.
summary statement there, but like it's good we're talking about menopause. And also, it always feels like the first time we open up the gate, it's like, okay, but not like this. Like we
Yeah.
can we
Yeah.
can have more of a conversation here. And there's space for many different voices. I just want there to be that space.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I don't
Yeah.
like when I see content that feels very clicky almost. Like if you're not on this regimen, you're missing out. I'm like, whoa, this is about healthcare. Like this
Yeah.
is not a popularity contest. Like this is not a
Yeah.
click. This is about people's literal bodies. And I don't know. I'm getting off too, but I
But
think
it's interesting when you talk about, the gold rush, right? As this is emerging as well. Um, it's interesting to watch inequality emerge even
yes.
in menopause.
Of course it will. So
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know how nerdy you want to get, but one of the scientific theories, it's a medical sociology theory. It has been proven over and over in different societies at different times, is something called the fundamental cause theory, which basically talks about how our inequities and health outcomes produced and reproduced over time throughout societies, regardless of time, like regardless of innovation. And it makes it very clear, right, that when societies are oriented a certain way, you are always going to see a period of time of increasing disparities that correspond with innovation and progress. If a society does not value equity and inclusion, you're always going to see it. And so that's what we see now that's happening with menopause for sure.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so I am a painful optimist in that I just will not believe we can't be better. Like I cannot, I'm like, I cannot believe that we cannot be better about this so that our medical story as the United States isn't constantly making progress and then spending 30 years to go back and collect all the people we left behind and then I mean, we don't have to do it this way. The
Mm.
other thing I want to say is so this is an add-on to what's happening with endometrial cancer. Here's the other reason why it's getting more press recently, like why it's getting more attention, is because for the first time, Golda, the aggressive endometrial cancer types, the high risk types, are also rising among white women.
Yeah.
And nobody knows why. Not
Mm.
only do we not know why, we don't have as good medications to treat the high risk types. We don't understand them as well. Why? Because they were a black woman's problem going back to when we started counting them in the 1970s. So this whole orientation that we have, that's like just move forward with the majority and then we'll figure out other people, it also isn't good science. It's not good for any of us. If we had been paying attention starting 40 years ago, 50 years ago, think about where we would be in innovation on high risk endometrial cancer. Think about where we would be in understanding it and figuring it all out. Now we're just starting when we could have been starting. So I also, that's why I think we could be better, because if we could just understand that when you actually go and focus on the most vulnerable, the people doing the worst, what you do is that you shine a microscope on every way things can go wrong. And you learn mechanisms that you will miss if you're focused on the privileged that aren't exposed to these things. And so I just think from a scientific perspective, it's a better way to think about cancer research and health research in general.